Hello and good evening everyone and welcome to this live session. Good evening. Please confirm if I am audible and visible to all of you. क्या आप मुझे सुन पा रहे हैं? क्या आप मुझे देख पा रहे हैं? Good evening Sanjay. Good evening Mansi. Good evening Anam. Good evening Ujjal. Good evening Lavanya. Good evening Zainab. Good evening Suyash, Chirag, Mansi Srivastav. Mr. Pediwal is back. Good evening Mr. Pediwal. Chandra Bhavani, good evening. Kavya, good evening. Kirti Batra, good evening. Good evening, everyone, and welcome to this amazing live session of GST, where we're going to finish the entire GST. We'll cover the entire portion of GST to the best of our syllabus, exclusively for CMA students. Yes, useful for CMA intermediate as well as final students, because the syllabus of GST is common for CMA intermediate and final students. The classes are held every day, daily, Monday to Friday, till the time we cover the entire course, till the time we kill the entire course, we will be having these classes. Good evening, Jyotika, Uday, Anuraj, Sakshi, Tanmay, Kona Kandla. Good evening, everyone. Yes, Vinu, good evening. Yes, good evening, guys. Okay. So, guys, in the last class, we had started a very important section of our syllabus, which is section number 7. Okay. It defines supply. What is the relevance of supply word in GST? The relevance of supply word in GST is that GST is leviable only on supply. Wherever there is a supply of goods or services, GST is leviable on that particular incidence, that particular transaction, and therefore this word supply is very important. So we need to define the word supply. We need to know what is the meaning of this word supply. What are the ingredients of this word supply? What are the things that are included in supply? What are the things that are excluded in supply? Because this will form the sole platform of our GST levy. GST levy will be determined only using this word called supply. If you do not have thorough understanding of what you mean by supply, then you are definitely going to default. You're definitely going to not understand in what situations to levy GST, or in what situations not to levy GST. So to understand the concept well, to understand the entire proposition of supply of GST subject, guys, it is very essential. It's crucial. It's critical to understand the meaning of this word called supply. If this definition is clear to you, then you definitely have a very fair chance, a very strong chance of understanding the rest of the sections of GST. So guys, before I start the class today, how's the Josh, guys? How's the Josh? Bhaskaran, Padmanabhan, Uday Gupta, good evening. Nancy. Professional vision. Sir, I'm a qualified CMA, but watching revision GST class, brilliant. There's no harm in brushing up your basics even after qualification. And yes, as a professional, we need to learn every day, every hour, every second. If you're a professional, then your learning will never stop till the time you are in profession. So it's a very good step. I am proud of you. Please tell me your name, because currently your name is appearing as professional vision. All right. Yes. Everyone is saying, hi, sir. Hi. Yes. Vera level Josh high. What is Vera level? I don't know. Vera level Josh high. All right. So, guys, let's start our section 7, supply. Definition of supply. We have already covered the first 2 portions of supply in our last class. What are the inclusions in supply? With consideration, I have 2 clauses. Without consideration, I have 1 clause, which is section 7.1c. 7.1a, 7.1b are the inclusions in supply with consideration. However, there are certain 4 type of supplies which even without consideration have an important implication with respect to supply. So guys, yesterday we had seen section 7.1a. all forms of supply are included in this particular section, which means right from sale, barter, exchange, lease, disposal, anything is covered under this section. But the moot point of consideration is that supply should have been made or agreed to be made, which means advances are also leviable for supply. But remember that advances with respect to goods are not eligible for supply for levy of GST, but advances with respect to services are eligible for GST. Consideration should mandatorily be there. Consideration means there should be something in return, quid pro quo. That should definitely be there to classify this as supply. Then it has to be business purpose. Section 71A is focused only where the goods are transferred for business purpose and not for any personal purpose. Okay. So if you're transferring good not for business purpose, you're not eligible for definition of supply under section 71A. Now coming on to 71B, it specifically covers a situation where even if you are supplying these services without business purpose, which means any other purpose is there for supply of these services, then guys, even when they are without business purpose, then also they will be qualified as supply. And yes, I've told you the reason yesterday itself. Import of goods is eligible for custom duty and GST. Import of services is not eligible for custom duty. Therefore, the goods which are the services which are imported without any business purpose, they are also covered under purview of GST. That is the reason why GST is levied. We had discussed in the last class in detail about this part. Yes, sir. So these were the two sub clauses that we had discussed in our last class. Now we will look at those four cases, guys. There are only four cases, and yes, you have to learn them. You have to learn them. You have to learn these four cases where even if the consideration is not there, then also the supply will be eligible for definition of supply, and GST will be levied on these four parts. What are these four parts which are eligible for GST, which means they are included in a definition of supply, even when the consideration is not there? Even without consideration, these four things are eligible for the definition of supply, even when consideration is not there. So, but tell us one thing. This is so strange. Consideration 0. Even if you levy GST on it at a particular rate, say 18%, 18% multiplied by 0 will be 0. So what is the logic of including this in the definition of supply? The GST will always be nil. No, guys. When we'll be studying valuation chapter, there the concept is very, very clear that even when a good and services is supplied without consideration, how to value that particular item, it is clearly written in our valuation chapter. So we will have a way to value these parts even when they are given without consideration. We have certain techniques to value them. So those valuation rules will be taught by us, will be there by us in the subsequent lectures. Yes, guys. Umang Aditya is here. Guys, Umang Aditya is my student of last attempt. He qualified CMA intermediate both groups in the last attempt. He says, good evening, sir. Guys, keep going. The hard work on your daily targets. Don't think about whether I will be able to complete or not. Just be focused on your daily targets. All the best. Thank you so much for these motivational words. Umang, this means a lot. Umang Aditya. Thank you, Umang Aditya. All right. So yes, we will be studying about those rules where even when there is no consideration, even then valuation will be done. And yes, GST will be applicable. So guys, there are four cases where even when without consideration you supply the goods, it will be included in the definition of supply. There are four such cases. Case number 1, permanent transfer of business assets where ITC is taken. I will in brief tell you about this particular clause. So permanent transfer of assets where ITC has been taken. All right. So guys, this is a business. Okay. This business was started with, certain fixed assets. Those fixed assets were included in this particular business. This is a company, XYZ Limited. Okay. So those fixed assets, when they were purchased, obviously, the company was eligible for some ITC input tax credit. Obviously, company would have taken this entire input tax credit in the year 1 itself. It must have taken the entire input tax credit in the year 1 itself. Now, after a few years, this machinery originally was purchased for say 10 lakh rupees. After a few years, machinery got depreciated to the extent of 2 lakh rupees. The machinery was to be sold at the rate of rupees 2 lakh. Okay. But at the time of sale of machinery, the company decided to give away this machinery free of cost to either its employees or directors or anyone else. Okay. Company decided to give it free of cost to anyone else. Okay. Now the government of India is saying, very smart, bro, very smart. When you purchase this machinery, at that point in time, you had taken ITC for the whole item of purchase. Now when you are selling it at that time, just to avoid GST, you are selling it free of cost. You are selling it without any consideration. You are giving away it as free to someone. If you would have not given it for free and would have given it against money, government would have been benefited by the rate of 18%. 2 lakh multiplied by 18%. And government is now losing this particular amount. This is not possible. This is not possible. And that too, guys, these machineries were always given to some, known person, director's wife, employees, so that some benefit can be extracted out of it without paying GST. So government of India said, if you have purchased a fixed asset on which you have taken the ITC in the year when it was purchased, ITC was taken. Now when that machinery is being sold and it is being sold free of cost without any consideration, I will still charge GST on it. And yes, the valuation will be done by the rules. Valuation rules are there whereby valuation will be done. So even if you sell your goods or these capital assets free of cost, even then GST will be levied in this particular case, because this is a clear case of avoiding GST using some unfair means. Let's read the caption once again. Permanent transfer of business assets where ITC is taken. So when you purchase the asset, guys, at that point in time, you have taken the ITC, the benefit of ITC, you have taken completely. Now, when you are selling this particular machinery or selling this particular asset, you are not paying GST. It's absolutely, absolutely unfair. So government of India is saying, nothing doing, not possible. You just have to pay GST on this particular amount, even when it is given, even when this asset is given free of cost. That is the guys. Let's not talk useless things during the class, because if we talk useless things, then it'll break the flow. My flow will be broken and I will be forced to block some of you. So please don't talk something unusual. I am available to chat with you on a one-to-one basis through my Instagram ID. My Instagram ID is NIKKHIL6256. I am available over there for your one-to-one chats. I'm available on my telephone number. Yes, WhatsApp me. I have specific times when I look at that. But over here, don't spam the mail. If you spam the mail, if you spam the chat box with your useless or some non-critical content, then I'll not be able to see the questions, the genuine questions of the student. So don't do this, okay? All right. Permanent transfer of business assets, even when done without consideration, even when done free of cost, even then GST will be levied on it. Number two, supply to related party or deemed distinct persons. If you supply any goods to related party, obviously, guys, related party means that company is related to you. For example, your holding, your subsidiary, or your sister concern. Okay, if you are related to some organization and you are supplying goods to related organization, then guys, in that case, even if you do it free of cost, then of course we know that there's some hanky-panky stuff going on. There's some bad intention in your mind. You would not send anyone any supply to anyone free of cost unless and until you're driving some benefit out of it. So yes, just because this is a related party, you are doing this. So we are able to understand your bad intention or malified intention. So guys, this particular case, supply to related party or DDP in the course of business guys, even when done free of cost, if you supply anything to your related party free of cost, then it will be eligible for definition of supply. GST will be leviable on it. Now, the main question is, what do you mean by deemed distinct persons? What do you mean by deemed distinct persons? Guys, under GST, you if you belong, if you have a company, okay, say company's name is XYZ. One of the branch of the company is in Delhi. One of the branch of the company is in Rajasthan. One of the branch of the company is in Chennai. There are branches which are spill over entire India. Now, guys, the company is the same. Its branches have been spill over in the entire India. In that particular situation, company which is headquartered at say Delhi, that will take a different GST. Company which is situated in Chennai, the branch which is situated in Chennai, that will take a different GST. The branch which is situated in Rajasthan, it will take a different GST number. GST number will be taken individually as per the state. Even when the company is the same, it's only the branches of the companies which are different. But for all practical purposes, they'll be treated as deemed distinct persons. Branch and the main company, each of the branch will be treated as a separate person. You will not say that, oh, entire company is the same. Even the Jaipur branch or the Rajasthan branch is belonging to the headquarters. The Mumbai branch is belonging to the headquarters. Chennai branch is belonging to the headquarters. No, guys, you will not say this. You will be treated as deemed distinct persons under the purview of GST if you have multiple branches in India. And you have to take, in that case, you have to take different GST registration numbers in each of the branches. It's very, very important. Now, guys, in that case also, if you supply some goods to your branch which is located in a different state free of cost, it will be considered under definition of supply. And yes, you have to pay GST on this particular supply. This particular valuation will teach us how to value it. You will have to pay GST in that particular case. So whether you supply your goods to related person or deemed distinct person, in both the cases, guys, you will definitely have to be covered under definition of supply, and you have to pay GST on it. Now, there's an exception which is mentioned in this particular clause. Exception is if you gift less than or equal to 50,000 to any employee. If you gift something, okay, because guys, employee is also related to the company. If you gift a gift worth less than 50,000 to your employee, obviously without consideration, then that is excluded from this particular definition. It will not be eligible for GST. It will not be clubbed as supply. Because if you are gifting something to your employee free of cost, then guys, naturally, it is a genuine gift. It is a trade practice. It is a usual thing which is given to the employees. So government is saying, do not pay GST on that amount. We'll exempt GST on that particular amount. That's perfectly all right. But other than that, if you supply anything else to your related party or deemed distinct person, it will be considered as supply and it will be eligible for GST applicability. So this is the second case where even when no consideration is paid, even then it is eligible for levy of GST. Yes, ITC will be available for sure. ITC will be available. Yes, Uday Sahu has defined it beautifully. Uday Sahu says, person registered under same PAN but different states. Deemed distinct person. Person registered under same PAN but different states. Very good, Uday Sahu. Very, very good interpretation. Lag is there. Let me check. Just a second, guys. Let me check. Okay, please check, guys. Is lag still there? Please check if lag is still there. No? Okay, perfect. Okay, lag is not there. Perfect. Okay, perfect. Second definition of supply, second area where even when without consideration supply is done, then also it will be categorized as supply. This is the second limb of this particular clause. Okay. Now the third limb, guys, third limb. Okay. And a very, very important limb, stock transfer between agent to principal. If the stock is transferred between agent and principal, and invoice is raised by the agent, in that case, even when agent is supplying the goods free of cost, even then, guys, it will be covered under definition of supply. Now you need to understand this very well because it is a little critical. Okay, I'll demonstrate it by way of an example. Okay, by way of a chart. Please look at this chart. This is a very, very critical transaction. Please understand this transaction well, because you will definitely have to take care of this. Now let's see. We have two models whereby principal agent relationship is there. Okay, we have two models which is listed on this particular board. I hope you are able to see the board entirely. You are able to see the board well. Yes, we have two kind of models which is prevalent. Model number one. So agents work in two ways. Okay, agents might get the goods from principal and supply it further to the buyer. Agent might get the goods from the principal and might supply it further to the buyer. So agent is actually acting as the middleman between principal and buyer. And first the goods are transferred to agent, and then the goods are transferred to the buyer. This is model number one. Now in this particular case, first the goods will be transported from principal to agent, and then agent will further transfer the goods to the buyer. In this model, agent is playing an active role in first receiving the goods, then sending it to the buyer. In this particular case, guys, sometimes what happens is the goods which are transferred from principal to agent, the agent is not paying the amount to the principal. Agent is not paying amount to the principal. However, agent is raising an invoice on the buyer. Principal is raising an invoice to the agent, but agent is actually not giving any payment to the principal. Okay, he is adjusting his payments in his future commission. Okay, now in this case, when the agent is actually raising invoice on the buyer, and principal is raising invoice on the agent, in this particular case, even when principal is supplying the goods free of cost to the agent, it will be eligible under the definition of supply. It will be eligible under definition of supply, because agent is raising a different invoice on the buyer, and principal is supplying a different invoice to the agent. Now guys, case number two, where the agent is only playing a silent role of introducing principal and buyer, and whatever transaction is happening between principal and buyer. Guys, in this case, there is no question of transferring of goods from principal to buyer free of cost. There is no question at all. So over here, there is no no supply, therefore no GST. Question of having a supply and without consideration is not there in this particular case. This model is absolutely clear, where the principal is directly delivering goods to buyer and buyer is paying consideration to principal. In this particular case, there is absolutely no risk of principal sending goods free of cost to the agent. So this case is not covered under our exception. What is covered under our section? This particular case, guys, where the goods are first getting transferred from principal to agent, and then the goods are getting transferred from agent to buyer. In this particular case, when this channel is being highlighted, when this channel is being used, in that case, if by any chance principal is transferring the goods free of cost to agent, guys, in that case, it will be deemed to be supply. And if it's deemed to be supply, then guys, in that case, GST will be leviable. So now you will ask me a question, sir, why would principal supply goods to agent free of cost, sir? Agent will subsequently sell it to the buyer, but why would principal send it free of cost to the agent? Guys, it happens practically. We tell the agent, hey, look, agent, I'm sending the goods to you. Now take 6 months, 1 year, 2 year, but sell these goods, okay? Until 1 year, 6 months or whatever, you do not raise any invoice on me. You do not need to pay me. You pay me when the buyer pays you. This is the agreement between the principal and the agent. So principal is actually transferring goods to the agent, but not fetching money from him. He's saying, you please sell the goods to the ultimate buyer, and whenever he pays, you pay it back to me. This happens a lot. So in those situations, guys, principal is transferring the goods to the agent free of cost without any consideration. The GST Act says even when it is getting transferred free of cost, guys, it will be deemed as supply and you have to pay GST on this particular amount. Okay. Why agent is taking commission? Agent is taking commission because agent is introducing principal and buyer. So for this introduction, he is charging his commission. And on that commission, separate GST is leviable. Okay, that is why. Okay, guys, got it. So very, very important clause, guys. You need to understand it. Stock transfer between agent to principal, where the invoice is raised by the agent. If the invoice is raised by principal directly to the customer, then the case doesn't apply over here. Okay. And the last one is import of services from related party or own establishment in course of business. Whenever there's import of services, if you import any services from a related party from outside India, if you are importing any services, that is absolutely free of cost. Even when they are free of cost, guys, GST will be leviable on them because of the same logic. Import of goods will entail GST at any cost. Import of goods will never go without charging custom duty. So import of services, even if they are given free of cost, they should be eligible for GST. That is the reason. And guys, after understanding the logic, you definitely have to learn all of these. Please remember all of these. These are to be learned by all of you. There is no doubt that you need to actually learn all these 4 cases. Very, very good example by Ujjal. Ujjal is saying, like from my website, you can purchase classes of other teachers also. So I am playing role of the agent. And I am using model number 1. Okay, mine is model number 1 when I'm taking payment from you for other teachers as well. And I'm paying to teachers, other teachers. That is model number 1, which is I'm following. Very good example, Ujjal. Very, very good example. This meaning person without consideration from you, RP, is not taxable. From unrelated person. Yes, from unrelated person, it's not taxable. It's only with related person that it is taxable. Absolutely. Okay, so let's come on to our book and let's see if we have some typical peculiar cases in this particular section. Yes, sir. Okay, done, guys. No peculiar, nothing different. Perfect, done. All right, so now let's move on to the negative list. Okay, negative list means that in what all circumstances, what are the situations where what are the situations which are excluded from the definition of supply, things which are not included in supply, and if you enter into these transactions, GST will not be applicable to you because these are excluded from the definition of supply. Now let us move to this particular clause, section 7, subsection 2. Now, Mansi Srivastav has asked a very basic question. When principal sends the good to the agent, then who is liable to pay? So the GST is always leviable on the supplier, and over here the supplier is the principal. Okay, so got it. So now let us start the negative list. What all cases are there in negative list? The definition of supply excludes what all situations. Let's start that, guys. This is the chart for the negative list from GST. All these things are not included in the definition of supply. So all these things will not be eligible for GST. Now again, a very, very important list. Yes, you have to learn this list by heart. You need to really understand each and every part of this list and learn it by heart. Let's start the negative list, section 7, subsection 2. So section 7, 2A, section 7, 2A, section 7, 2B. These are two prime sections of this particular subsections of this particular section. Let's read. Okay, now these supplies are not eligible for definition of supply, thus no GST leviable on these particular supplies. Number one, where there is an employer-employee relationship, which means whatever salary is being paid to the employee, whatever bonus is being paid to the employee, whatever incentive is being paid to the employee, it is not covered under the definition of supply, although employee is supplying services to the company. Employee is supplying services to the company. Even when employee is supplying services to the company, even then, guys, this particular clause is not applicable on that situation, and GST is not leviable on employer-employee relationship. Whatever emoluments are arising from this particular relationship, whatever benefits are arising from this particular relationship, like salary, like bonus, even when delivery of services is there, but it is not covered under the definition of supply. So salaries are left outside the purview of definition of supply. Very, very, very important point. That is the first point. Number two, okay, there's an exception, guys. Gift which are more than 50,000 rupees, they are eligible. Even when given to the employees, they are eligible for GST. Gift over 50,000 rupees. Then payment in any other capacity. Very, very important, guys. Very, very important. Payment in any other capacity is eligible for GST. I'll give you an example. Okay. So, guys, there is a company which has hired a very senior official in its company as the finance manager. Now, the salary of that finance manager is 15 lakh rupees per annum. Apart from the salary, he's getting bonus and incentives, etc., etc., etc. Okay. Now, the manager stays very close to the company. The manager owns a big house which is in vicinity of the company, and manager also owns a guest house which is in vicinity of the company. Now, the company's officials, the company's promoters request the manager to sell the guest house which the manager is owning to the company, because company needs that space. So the manager is happy to sell his guest house to the company, because manager was in itself trying to find a buyer for that particular guest house. Manager is saying, okay, perfect, I will sell the my house to you. I don't have any problem. I will sell the house to you. So manager is selling the house to the company. Is he selling as an employee, or is he selling as an independent third party? Answer is he is selling as an independent third party. It is not because of the employee-employee relationship because of which the manager is selling his house to the company. It is not because of employer-employee relationship. So if there is any transaction which is made in any other capacity other than the employee-employer relationship, it will not be eligible for the negative list, which means GST will be leviable on that particular transaction if that particular transaction otherwise falls under any other clause. So, guys, if payment is made to our employees under any other capacity, not because of employer capacity, then, guys, GST will be leviable in this particular case. Very, very, very important point. Okay, sir. Then next, the services provided by courts and tribunals. So, guys, courts and tribunals are houses of law, and they provide judgments, they provide resolution for the disputes, and they charge a nominal fees. That is excluded from purview of GST. GST is not liable for the services which are provided by courts or the tribunals of the country. Then MPs, MLAs, whatever services they provide to the government of India, they are not eligible for GST, kept outside the purview of supply. Then for burial services. These are the last services which any person takes for himself. So these funeral and burial services, including transportation related to funeral and burial services, are not included in definition of supply. Then sale of land and building. Please write, very, very, very important. Please write very 3 times. Any sale of land and building is not covered under the definition of supply. It is not covered under the definition of supply. And, guys, definition of goods also include only movable property. So the exclusion from supply is that sale of land and building is not included in the definition of supply. But the catch is, and why is it not included in definition of supply? Because, guys, the definition of goods says that goods under the GST Act will also only be movable goods. And that is why these are not movable goods. Therefore, these are excluded from computation of GST. But guys, there's a very, very important exception, which is if you sell a building under construction, if you sell a partly constructed building, then it will be covered under the definition of services. So assume a situation where a builder is building builder floors in a particular area, in a particular land. Now those builder floors are still in the process of getting executed. Builder approaches the buyers and tells them that, you know, these buildings will be covered, will be constructed within a period of say 6 months or so. So please give me money. I will book a flat for you in this particular building, and you can buy the, you can move to the flat in a later point of time in your life. This is the instruction which builder gives to the people, and people pay money in advance. Now, guys, in this case, it is not a case of sale of land and building. It is not a case of sale of land and building. Actually, builder is collecting money from you and giving you construction services, because his product is not ready when you have paid the money to him. So he's actually giving you services. On your instructions, he's creating your floor. He's creating your apartment on your instruction. So therefore, if you sell any building under construction, which is not fully constructed, then it will be eligible for supply definition. It will be eligible for GST. But if you are selling fully made land and building, fully completely constructed land and building, if you are selling that, then guys, GST is not applicable in this particular case. Please mark very, 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 very important on this particular point. Okay, sir. So Rohit Tamboli says, sir, what about transportation through ambulance of person who is alive? So yes, it is eligible for GST. Next. Actionable claims. Now, very, very important. Actionable claims which are not covered under the definition of supply. They are under the negative list. What is actionable claim? Actionable claim means, a company has some debtors, and the debtors are reluctant to pay money back to the company. So the company hires a specialized agency, and the specialized agency purchases company's debtors and tell the company, look, company, now your debtors are not your headache, they're my headache. We will fetch money from your debtors and we will repay it to you. So this is known as actionable claims, when your debtors, your loans which you have given, your advances which you have given, those are known as actionable claims. If you sell those actionable claims to a third party, it is not covered under definition of supply. But if your actionable claims are in the nature of lottery, betting, gambling, they are covered under the provisions of supply, because they are, somewhat unethical practices. Next is export and import. Guys, in case of export and import, there's very, very, very dire need. No, exemptions we will study in the chapter of exemptions. Don't confuse exemptions over here. Exemptions we will study in the chapter of exemptions. Export, import. In case of export and import, guys, if you are dealing in merchant trading, if you are dealing in bonded warehouse trade, and if you are dealing in high seal sales, then you are out of the purview of definition of supply. Now, sir, what are these three things? What are these three things, guys? Let us discuss. What do you mean by merchant trading, bonded warehouse, and high sea sale? Merchant trading means there's a person in India who is coordinating to supply goods from US to Australia. There's a person in India who's coordinating to supply goods from US to Australia. This is known as merchant trading, which means that goods are not coming inside India. Goods are not coming inside the customs frontier of India. They are directly being sold from US to Australia. They're directly being sold. It is not coming into India. But the commission or the profit is being earned by the Indian company or Indian person. So will this transaction be eligible for GST? Answer is no, it will not be eligible for GST. Next, bonded warehouse sale. What do you mean by bonded warehouse? Bonded warehouse are located at the coastal areas of India, and certain raw materials are imported in that particular bonded warehouse. Manufacturers done in that particular warehouse, and those goods are exported to a foreign country, a foreign land. So those goods are not entering the customs frontiers of India. Will it be supply? Answer is no. It will not be categorized as supply. The third example is, or the third word is high sea sales. High sea sales means some goods were being transferred from US to India. But when they were on their way, there was some dire need that these goods were sent to Australia. These are known as high sea sales. When the sale happens on the high sea means when in the middle of the sea, middle of the ocean, the ship was there, and in that case, the goods are sold to some other country and sent to some other country. Again, not considered as supply, so it will not be eligible for GST. That is the negative list for all of you. So guys, if you understood section 7 to 8, please 7 to A, please write yes in the chat box. If you understood this section, please write yes in the chat box. And then we are going to start 7 to B. 7 to B. Yes. Absolutely yes. Great, guys. Great. Cool. So let's start 7 to B. 7 to small b. Supply by government or local authority. Okay. There are certain supplies which government or local authority does, and those supply of goods and services are not eligible for GST. Again, guys, you just need to read or just need to learn two articles, Article 243G, Article 243G and 243W. So Panchayat performs various services for social welfare for benefit of the society, acting in their true spirit, whatever Panchayat is required to do, which are covered under Article 243G. Those are exempt from GST. Supplies not, the definition of supply is not applicable on this particular case. In case of municipality, guys, Article 243W, municipality, again, services which are given by municipality are not eligible for the supply definition, and therefore GST is not leviable on this particular article services also. Grant of liquor license, a very, very important subject matter. License, of course, liquor is, of course, kept out of purview of GST because GST is not liable on liquor. But even the activity of granting license of liquor, state has this authority to grant license of liquor and collect, application charges from the taxpayers. So even grant of liquor license is not a GST subject matter. GST is not applicable on grant of liquor license. State governments have the right to collect the liquor license fees. The GST is not leviable on grant of liquor license. So this is the second case of negative list. Then, guys, classifications. Okay, clarifications. There are two clarifications which are given by Government of India, and they are very, very important clarifications, guys. And I have a table to show you these clarifications. Okay. So now, guys, this is a typical situation where goods are transferred from supplier to the recipient. Goods are transferred from the supplier to the recipient inside a truck. Okay. Now, there are two things. Thing number one is that the goods which are stored inside the truck, the goods which are stored inside the truck, that is the subject matter of GST. But now, you know what? Some over ambitious tax officers said that even this motor vehicle in which the goods are stored, even this is a subject matter of GST. Even when this will be returned after the goods are unloaded at the recipient's place. So what happens is the truck is loaded at supplier's place. It is moved to the recipient. It gets unloaded at recipient's place and then moves back to the supplier. This is the typical transaction which happens. In this case, of course, that goods are subject to GST for sure. No one is denying it. But some officer says the mode of conveyance is also subject to GST. Absolutely, absolutely illogical thought. Guys, this mode of conveyance, which is the truck, is not something which is eligible for GST because this is not a supply which is happening. Yes, movement is happening, but this is not supply. So just for clarification purposes, we are having this clarification that if you supply the goods from supplier's place to recipient place in a truck, in a conveyance, in a lorry, or anything of that sort, then, guys, in that case, this particular truck will not be eligible for definition of supply, and you cannot charge GST on this truck, guys. Very, very, very clear. Okay. So an important clarification. Okay. Similarly, guys, if I have some big machineries, some big equipments which I want to send to a person who will repair them and send it back to me, this will again not be a supply. Suppose I have this digital board, and this digital board gets some problem in it, generates some problem in it. I switch it off, I pull it off, and I send this digital board to the repair mechanic, and he repairs it and he sends it back to me. Will this be considered as supply? Answer is no, it will not be considered a supply. I'm not supplying this digital board to the repair mechanic. I'm just taking repair services. So repair services will be eligible for GST, but transferring of this board to the premises of the repair mechanic will not constitute supply. So these are the two very important clarification. Number one, interstate movement of rigs, tools, spares, except for further sale or repair and maintenance. Interstate movement of conveyance. So both of these are not eligible for definition of supply. Therefore, GST cannot be levied on these two things. So yes, this was the negative list of supply. This is the negative list of supply. Okay, so this is the negative list of supply. Over here, supply will not be considered in these particular cases. It will not be considered as supply because these are excluded from the definition of supply. And yes, if these transactions are there, then we are very, very happy because GST is not levied on these transactions. Okay, sir, got it. GST not leviable on these transactions. Yes. Very, very, very good. So yes, we have gone through the negative list, entire negative list we have gone through. Perfect, guys. Perfect. Perfect. All right. Now let us start our next topic, which is very, very important. Composite and mixed supply. What is composite and what is mixed? Let us start. CMA Vijay Kumar Jaiswal. Very, very good. किसी से पर्सनल दुश्मनी होगी ऑफिसर की करिश्मा सेज किसी से पर्सनल दुश्मनी होगी ऑफिसर की वेरी गुड perfect. Okay, so guys, let's start the next concept, which is bundled supply. What happens in case of bundled supply, and what do you mean by bundled supply? What is the meaning of bundled supply, and what happens when bundled supply is happening in any industry? What is bundled supply? Bundled supply is a case where two or more than two products are being sold together as a package. Okay, two or more goods are being sold together as a package. That is known as bundled supply. I'll give you example of bundled supply and I'll show you the picture also, guys. So you must have seen such hampers at Haldiram's. Okay, you must have seen such hampers at Haldiram. There is a hamper where all the several things are bundled together. There is a juice, there are cookies, there are rasgullas, there are Pringles, chips, there's Panchratn Namkeen, there's Navratn, son cake is also there, biscuits are also there. The biscuits which have chocolate filling in it, they're also there. Yummy things are there. All these things are packed together as a package, and maybe the respective things have got different GST rates, and this entire bunch is being sold together. This is known as bundled goods. This is known as bundled supply, where many things are accumulated under a bundle and they are supplied together. This is known as bundled supply. Now, in case of bundled supply, what is the tax rate which we need to apply? That is the most important thing. Okay, sir, got it. Let's see what is this definition. Bundled supply. Okay, this is bundled supply. Yes, bundled supply is divided into two parts: composite supply or mixed supply. Composite supply or mixed supply. Okay, now what do you mean by composite supply? Composite supply means the bundle is created according to a natural phenomena, a natural attachment. There is some commonality between the two things which are getting bundled, then it will be categorized as composite supply. For example, shaving cream and shaving brush is always sold together. Shoe polish and brush is always sold together. Then anything that is naturally bundled, which two things are sold always together, that is known as a natural bundle. Naturally, those things are clubbed together. That is known as a natural bundle. If you have a natural bundle of goods, then it is covered under the definition of composite supply. Two or more taxable supplies when sold together under a bundled approach, then they're known as composite supply. And if two unrelated goods are sold together, it is known as mixed supply. Both the goods are independent. They are not dependent on each other. They are independent goods. For example, I am supplying along with Horlicks. Horlicks is an energy drink, okay? Along with Horlicks, I am supplying some pencil box or pencil sharpener or eraser or pen along with Horlicks. They are two independent things. No correlation between these two things. But yes, you have created a bundle and you are supplying them together. Yes, laptop and charger is a very good example of composite supply. Laptop and charger is a very good example of composite supply. Toothpaste and brush is a very good example of composite supply. However, in case of mixed supply, all the things are separate. No correlation between those things, and therefore they are known as mixed supply. No correlation between those things. So, for example, I sell a water bottle. I sell a water bottle along with earphones. That is a mixed supply. There is no correlation whatsoever between the water bottle and the earphones. So it is known as mixed supply. So guys, what happens in case of composite supply? How will the GST be charged? How will the value be ascertained? Let's read. Two or more taxable supplies in case of composite supply makes a bundled supply. Two or more taxable supply means supply under a single price in a single invoice. So there are two cases. Now, case number one is that the composite supply is being sold together, and there's a composite invoice. There's one invoice which is raised for the entire bundle. Okay. So for example, shaving kit and shaving brush, both put together, they are for 140 rupees. So price is same, single price is there. We have not bifurcated 40 rupees for brush, 100 rupees for cream. No, there is single price, 140 rupees for brush and cream both. And secondly, there is only one single invoice. There can be a case where brush and the cream is written separately in the invoice. There can be a case that also supply under separate price in an invoice. In same invoice, there are two separate prices which are charged. That can also be the case. In both the cases, guys, GST rate of principal supply is applicable on all the supplies. So suppose the brush, the shaving brush is eligible for 18% GST. The cream is eligible for 12% GST. Then this entire package will be chargeable at 18%, the higher amount. The higher percentage will be the eligible thing for this particular supply. So very, very important concept to be remembered. Okay. Very, very important concept. Principal rate लगेगा. What if alcoholic liquor for human consumption bundled with snacks? Is it mixed supply? Yes, it is mixed supply for sure. Wow, Rohit Tamboli, I know where you are going. Huh? Chakna, 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 yaar mere dil na. Rohit Tamboli is very, 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 very naughty boy. Okay. So principal thing, whatever is the main thing, okay, out of those two supplies, that rate will be applicable on the composite supply. So in my example, sorry, I took a higher rate. No, guys, not the higher rate, but the principal supply rate. So, suppose brush is eligible for 18%, shaving cream is eligible for 12%. Then what is the principal supply? Principal supply may be the shaving cream. So the rate which is applicable on principal supply, that particular rate will be applicable on the brush as well, whether it is high or whether it is low. So that is the rule for composite supply. However, in case of mixed supply, whatever is the highest rate is to be taken as the rate for GST for all the products. These are two or more independent supplies. Again, two parts are there in this particular section, guys. Supply under single price and single invoice. There's only single price which is charged for the entire bundle, and there's only single invoice which is raised for the entire bundle. In this case, the highest GST rate is to be applicable for the supplies. The rate which is the highest GST rate is applied for the entire bundle. So for example, if I'm supplying a water bottle with earphones, then guys, I'll see the GST rate for both of them. Whichever is higher, I will take that particular GST rate for both the things. Okay. Whether the invoice, this is the case where single price is charged for the invoice. However, if you write separately all the prices, okay, if I write separately the charges of the bottle, the charges of the earphone, if I write it separately, then guys, individual rates, the separate rates will be applicable. The separate rates will be applicable. So on, on one of the supplies, rate which is applicable to that supply will be applicable. Bottle 18%, suppose that will be applicable. And in case of earphones, suppose 12% will be applicable. Individual rates of each of the supply to be applied in this particular case, where supply under separate price in an invoice is done. Very, very important principle. You definitely have to take care of it. नालायक, अपने टीचर के बारे में कितनी गंदी गंदी बातें करते हैं लोग. Okay, sir, got it? Yes, sir. So the highest rate which is applicable on that supply will be chargeable to the entire mixed supply case. So guys, a very, very important concept which definitely can come in your examination, that is bundled supply, which is combination of mixed supply and composite supply. So guys, in your book there are cases where differentiating factors are given in case of composite supply, mixed supply. We have discussed all these cases. Okay, please read through these cases well. And yes, the institute study mat, your institute study mat will be the best source to study all these concepts. Okay, yes, very, very important, guys. Buy one get one free. When you have an offer of buy one get one free, so buy one product, another one will be free for you. Then guys, in that case, the product which is being sold, the GST will be levied on both the prices. So product at which the good is being sold. So it may appear at first glance that in case of offer like buy one get one free, one item is being supplied free of cost, whereas this is not the case. In fact, it is not individual supply of free goods, but case of two or more individual supplies where single price is being charged for the entire supply. It can at best be treated as supplying two goods for price of one. So both of them are getting supplied. Both of the goods are getting supplied at the price of one. So price is for both of them. Don't say that one of them is without consideration. GST will not be applicable on it. Don't say that. So that is the mode of consideration. Okay, sir, got it. Now, very, very important concept, guys. Zero rated supply. What do you mean by zero rated supply? Do you remember we had discussed about zero rated supply yesterday? These are the goods which are exported out of India, and yes, popularly known as दामाद जी अंगना में पधारे, दामाद जी लागे सबको प्यारे. So zero rated supply is exported goods on which GST is not applicable. And yes, guys, in customs duty, in customs sections, we'll be studying about exported goods and its related implication in great detail. As of now, just the definition, guys. Zero rated supply means any of the following supply of goods and services, export of goods and services, or supply of goods and services both to special economic zone developer or special economic zone unit. Even if you supply the goods to a special economic zone, I've discussed this chapter yesterday, guys. This is Haryana, this is Manesar. If you supply goods to this Manesar plant or Manesar area, Manesar is a special economic zone, it will be considered as export of goods because SEZ is treated outside the Indian territory. So any supply of goods and services of both to special economic zone developer or to special economic zone unit is categorized as zero rated supply. It will be categorized as export of goods or services. That is the bottom line. Yes, sir. Okay, sir. Yes. What are the benefits which we give to Damaji? What are the benefits which we give to Damaji? We give them credit of input tax, even when they are exempt supply, even when they are outward supply is zero, the tax is not levied on outward supply. Even then, credit of input tax is given to the Damaji, the zero rated supply. Secondly, refund of unutilized credit. Very, very important. If there is any unutilized credit, ITC is there which is not utilized, okay? That ITC will be refunded to the exporter within 30 days. And that is the beautiful two benefits of having zero rated supply. So yes, that are the benefits which are given to zero rated supply, which are done from India. All right. So yes, guys, here we finish our chapter on levy and collection. Yes, an important chapter from an exam standpoint, an important chapter from a standpoint of the our examination. Yes, both practical and theoretical questions will come from this particular chapter, and yes, you have to really gear up well for this particular chapter because it's an important chapter. So, in very brief, we have covered this entire chapter. And yes, today we are not going to start the next chapter because next chapter is very, very important chapter, RCM, levy collection, and composition levy. These chapters require a fresh bent of mind. So we are not starting the new chapter right now. Today we'll be winding up a little early. We still had time, but still we'll be winding up a little early because I don't want to start the new chapter today. But yes, we'll be starting new chapter tomorrow. So please gear up for a very difficult chapter, for a very, very interesting and a very, very difficult chapter, which is the chapter on RCM, composition levy, etc., etc. Again, levy and collection chapters extension only. So yes, that's all for today's session, guys. We'll be meeting in our subsequent sessions with more sections of GST, more concepts of GST, and yes, the next chapter will be starting in our next class. Till that time, all the very best and happy studying. Bye bye. See you little. छुट्टी हो गई आज थोड़ा जल्दी. See you tomorrow. And yes, I will compensate it some other day. Okay, whatever time I'm leaving now, I will extend the future classes for all of you. All the very best. Bye bye.